Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you, dear students? How was your week? Now, we have passed by an interesting week still till now. We had just something very simple to start with, which was the connect part that you have at the very beginning of the book. Now, before we go on with our lesson, we are just going to revise and see what we had in the first part, which is the connect. Now here we can say that we have had the listen and discuss. We also had pair work, which is about to express opinion and agreement and point of view. And just to go back to the listen and discuss, we had different paragraphs which were related to topics which we are going to study in the book, inshallah. The conversation was about expressing with deduction phrases using modals. And we had the speaking part, which is to compare between spoken and written scripts. So if you notice here that the basic part here was about discussion, was about talking, about a conversation. It was a lot of oral points that are very useful just to put in mind at the very beginning of the semester. Now, I asked you to prepare something in the speaking part. Now, what did we have here? We had the table, which we did together in the last lesson, the features. Of course, we have different features that can be applied within spoken text or written text. I asked you to work in pairs. Think about an incident you heard or read about, or something that happened to you or someone you know. Make notes. Do you remember the incident about the ATM, about the card, and when the person forgot the money in the machine and so on? Now, we had a very realistic incident. Of course, you can have the same thing happening to you or something similar. Now, we said that it might help to write the actions, verbs in order they happened, and then add people, objects, and places. So I gave you a chance just to try. Because when you are writing your story or when you are preparing yourself, you know how the order of the actions happened. Now we have the first thing happened, this, the second thing, the third thing, what happened? And within these actions, you can apply your nouns. We have adjectives, we have different feelings, we have different objects, we have places, and so on that we can add. Now, I did mention to you that we have here a table. Now, the table here, we're just going to pass by it right now, but before, convey the manner in which things which happened, use your voice, exclamations, adjectives, and adverbs. Now, we did mention that the difference between spoken and written, that we have here the tone of voice, and how you speak is totally different from writing. Now, this is the table that I mentioned, and we did apply it in the last lesson. Now here, if you have a story prepared, I did apply some kind of story with you. So we're going to just go back to the table. And we have here, you can see that now I filled the table with my story. Now you can see that we have here the event or time last week, the next day. I also applied people, my sister and I, sister. We have here actions like went, by, agreed, look, discuss, we have needed, remembered, and so on. And you can see a lot of actions or verbs here. We have here nouns or objects like laptop, phone, operator, and so on. So it's either a noun or an object. Places, for example, store, home, and we have again store. The feelings, which are the adjectives, like selective, busy, shocked, and so on. And we have here the condition, also adjectives, late, suddenly, quickly, so it can be an adjective or an adverb. Now you can see that some of them, they are repeated based on the story that I have in mind. So here, this is my story. Last week, my sister and I went to a store to buy a laptop. We agreed to be very selective until we find the right one. You can see that from the first part, I wrote in the table all the words that I have in mind, just to remind me what we have. Now, this is very useful it is a useful technique for preparing your speech or writing. In the second part, you can see that we looked at different computers. We got so busy discussing and comparing between them that we didn't notice it was late and the store was about to close. After we went home, my sister needed her phone. She was shocked when she suddenly remembered leaving it between the computers in the store. So you can see that we have here shocked as a feeling. We have here suddenly, needed, remembered, all in the same order that happened. She searched for the store's number and called, but could only reach the operator, who told her that the store was closed. She was too upset and worried that she couldn't even sleep. And at the very end, the next day, we quickly rushed to the store. We both stared in awe when we found her phone on the computer display right where she left it. We were so delighted and promised to be more careful. You can see that I used the table just to organize my thoughts, and we had, of course, the basic thing to put in mind, the intonation, the punctuation, and so on. Now we have a starting point here, as we mentioned before, that we didn't begin with the units. Now actually we're going to start with our first unit, which is 2 is better than 1. Now here you can see that we have a kind of path that we are going to pass by within each unit. Of course, we have, first of all, we're going to start with the listen and discuss. We have here pair work. We have grammar, conversation. Moving on to listening, pronunciation, vocabulary building, reading, speaking, writing, form, meaning and function, and project. So these are all different lessons that we are going to pass by in each unit. Now 2 is better than 1 is our topic. Just to recall, do you remember when I mentioned something in the first part, which is the connect? It is better to work as a team than individually. What do you think? Now this is an example, or just a picture that we have here, and if you remember the paragraph that we have here, now just to remind you, I have the green parts: collaborative learning, teamwork, individuals, share ideas and information, reluctant to share, and competition. Now just to refresh your memory here, you can see also that we have here different computers, or what we can see actually that these people, they are working together. Now 2 is better than 1. When you think of the meaning, we have here, these are actually 3. Are they better than 1 when they are working or not? So are they better as a team or not? Now the meaning of the topic, or we have here the basic title, 2 is better than 1, is of course, as we have here, about teamwork. How do you feel about teamwork? What are the advantages of working as a team? So think about it. Do you prefer to work individually alone, or do you prefer working as a team? And if so, what are the advantages? What are the things or the points that you put in mind that make you prefer working with a team? Now, in our topic, 2 is better than 1, we have our objectives in the very beginning. We have here to appraise the importance of teamwork, review historical figures and who had teamed up for achievement, select words and information points which support the idea of teamwork, support the accomplishments of famous figures by introducing them through speaking to others. Now these are our objectives that we are going to apply within our lesson, inshallah. Now something very simple at the very beginning of our lesson here. We have a simple statement. Teamwork is everywhere. Just think about it. If you think about it, we can see that teamwork is actually everywhere, in every place. Now, you can recall examples, and I did remember to remind you that we mentioned something in the very beginning of the Connect, and I told you just to put in mind different teams. We can have, for example, like these people, we can see that they are working in a company, for example, or in an office. Space. Do you think that there is a kind of team here that are working together? Do you think that an astronaut can just go to space alone, or works with a team to prepare him and when he leaves the space? Doctors. Now, we did have the example about the operation. Have you ever heard or seen a doctor working in an operation alone, or do they usually work with in a team together? Of course, we have sports, different teams. So teamwork doesn't have to be a big group. Now, this is something new also. We discussed the idea of 2 is better than 1, which is about teamwork, but we are going to go smaller now. And we have here, just to know that teams doesn't mean that they have to be a big number of people together working. Now, we can have small teams that work together. Now, you have in your book, page number 6, Unit 1, page number 6. We have a short introduction here. Now, we have the first thing to mention, name some famous duos or pairs who have left their mark in history. For example, a husband and wife team, or a pair of siblings, for example, brother and brother, brother and sister, cousins. Tell the most legendary story you know of a famous pair. So we have your siblings are relatives in general. Do you know any famous relatives, or they work together in a small team? Or, for example, a couple, husband and wife, that they were famous for their work together? Also, we have another part, page number 6, which is at the very beginning. Number 2, read the texts about some famous family members from history. Do you think their close relationship made it easier for them to achieve certain goals? So do you agree? Do you think because they are relatives or they are together that they were able to be successful together? So just to recall, think about it and recall famous teams, small teams that who worked in pairs together for the same idea or for the same goal. Now you can open your books on page number 6, but before we start with our lesson, I would like to pass by the words, the vocabulary that we have here on page number 7, just to make you highlight them and or notice them when they pass by you. So we have here 6 words. We have the word, the first one, I'm going to give you a chance to read. We have the first one, devoted, pioneer. Number 3, reliable. Number 4, extensive. Number 5, legendary. And number 6, try to read this word, aviation. Aviation. No, these are 6 words. Are any of these words familiar to you? Do you know them before? Now you can also just scan quickly, and you can sometimes relate from the meanings that we have here. Now, like the first one, we have something related to airplane in A. We have here trusted, the word trust, and working well. We have one simple word, C, dedicated. We have famous, which is easy. We have here also E. Now E, we are talking about a person. Now we have here specifically a person. Now what did this person do? He started or she started or is involved in a new method or activity. Sometimes you can just relate, you can just highlight the word person and activity and join them together. F, we have here the last one, something. I'm talking about something that covers a wide range. Just put in mind the word wide. Now moving on, I want you to listen carefully to me and guess who is this figure. I'm talking about a personality here or a figure. Now who is this figure? And just to give you a hint, there is a female mentioned here. So listen and try to guess who is this personality.
She was born in Warsaw in 1867. She was the daughter of a secondary school teacher. She studied in local schools and received some training in science from her father. Because women were not able to attend university in Poland in the 19th century, she left Poland to study at a French university in 1891. She is now known by her French name. She worked hard in a laboratory that was owned by her husband, who was born in Paris in 1859. He received his early education at home and then joined the Faculty of Sciences at the Sorbonne. He was promoted to professor in 1900. They got married in 1895. Although poor, they were devoted to each other and their research. Their studies of radioactive substances were carried out under difficult conditions. Their laboratory facilities were hardly adequate and they had to do a lot of teaching to earn a living. In 1898, the couple discovered the elements polonium and radium. They eventually won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for the discovery of radioactivity. She won another Nobel Prize after her husband died for chemistry. She was the first person to win the Nobel Prize twice.
So we are going to move on. You listen to this small script here about this personality. We have some pictures here just to give you a hint who is this personality. We have something about chemistry was mentioned. We have also this lady here, she and her husband. And we can see that this famous personality is, we have here, Marie Curie. Now, we have in the book, very quickly, I want you just to scan, and here we have the paragraphs. We have basically two here, paragraphs or two parts. One is about Marie Curie and her husband, and another part in the second page. So what I want you to do here is just to read the two questions here, and we're going to answer them very quickly. So I'm going to give you a countdown. So we have the first question, who trained Maria in science? So you can say that we have here, her name is Maria. Now we have here the first part, who trained? She studied in local schools and received some training in science from her father. And why did she leave Poland? We have here, Maria left Poland to study at the French or a French university in 1891. Moving on to the second part, countdown. So I helped you in the first part. Now we have here the second part, the two questions. Okay. Where did Marie work? Now, did you find the answer? We have here the answer. She worked hard in a laboratory that was owned by Pierre Curie. And when did they get married? A very simple date here, which is 1895. Moving on. We have the questions. What were their studies about and how did they earn a living? Did you find the answers? The first one, what were their studies about? So we have here their studies were about. Did you find the answer? Just check with me. Two things. We have here radioactive substances and polonium and radium. How did they earn a living? We have here, they had to do a lot of teaching to earn a living. So I hope that you check your answers and they are the same. We have here the last part. The two questions. How did Marie honor her husband, and what kinds of prizes did she win? So we have here how and what. Look for the word honor. You can see that it is here. Marie honored her memory or his memory by continuing the work. And we have here what kind of prizes did she win? She won the Nobel Prize in physics or for physics, and also won another Nobel Prize, this time for chemistry. Now we have the second story or the part which is about the Wright brothers on page number 7. So we have the same thing. We have two questions. Who were the Wright brothers, and did they build the first aircraft? Now just to note that you have a yes/no question here. Okay, so we have here, who were the Wright brothers? They were inventors and aviation pioneers who built and flew the first successful airplane. And with the yes/no question, did they build the first aircraft? Now the answer here actually is here. They were not the first to build and fly experimental aircrafts, but they were the first to invent airplane controls. So the answer here is going to be no, they didn't. Moving on, the second part. We have here two questions. Why were the Wright brothers different, and how did they gain experience? Why were the Wright brothers different, and how did they gain experience? We have the first question, why? You can see the answer. Just check your answer. We have here their focus wasn't on creating more powerful engines. So this is a reason. What they did focus on was developing a reliable pilot control system. And we have the second answer, how did they gain experience? They gained valuable experience and mechanical skills by working with bicycles, motors, and other machinery in their shop for years. Moving on, we have the last part, which is very short. You have one question, one simple question here, which is, what is special about them? What is special about them? So the answer is going to be, we have here, the Wright brothers. Did you find it? We have here, the Wright brothers' work has had a lasting impact on aviation and aerodynamics. So we have here, these are basic facts that we learned about the two groups or the two teams here. Now going back to our words. Now before we do the exercise, I just want to remind you that we have here the word legendary from the very beginning. Now name some famous husbands and wives from history. Tell the most legendary story. I can give you like this here, this picture, just to show you that it is something old, related to something old, and we have here historical. Now here we have the word devoted. I can relate it to this picture. Time, feelings in a person, devoted. In this part we have two words. We have aviation and pioneers. So we have here, I'm going to show you the first picture, an airplane. And the second one, now you can see that these people, they are trying to climb the mountain, but there is the first person. Reliable and extensive. Now, like this person, he is reliable. A lot of people, they approve of his work. And extensive, we can say that something is wide, covering something wide. And we have the words. So the first one, devoted. What did you guess? We have here the word devoted, which means C, dedicated. Pioneer. E, a person who starts or is involved in a new method or activity. Reliable, which means B, trusted to work well. It can be used for a person or a thing. Extensive. As we mentioned, we have something that covers a wide range of ideas or details and details. Legendary, which means famous. Aviation, of course, is going to be related to airplane manufacture, development, and design. Now, we do have the words, the comprehension, or sorry, the questions, comprehension questions that we are going to apply as homework or practice, inshallah, in the second lesson. So be prepared and just answer the questions. Be ready for the next lesson. Now, as pair work, discuss historically famous people with your partner. Choose a person who has changed the world for the better. Explain to your partner why you selected the person. So also we do have pair work just to choose a team and try to search why did you choose this team and what did they do that made them so special. At the very end, our outline. The discussion was about teamwork and famous figures. Give an opinion or point of view, the importance of teamwork. Review historical and famous figures related to the main topic. We did some listening about Marie Curie. And we had the reading part, which was about Marie Curie and the Wright brothers. So we highlighted, we found answers and provided meanings of words through text. So this is our lesson for the day. We have our homework, which is to prepare the comprehension questions, and we are also going to discuss different teams, inshallah, in the next lesson. So be ready.